The Galactic Council had gathered in the Grand Chamber, a shining hall that floated above the core of the galaxy. Thousands of alien delegates filled the room, leaders of empires, rulers of fleets, voices of ancient civilizations. All of them had come for one purpose: to decide the fate of humanity. For years, the whispers had grown louder. Humans were different. They were unpredictable, reckless, and dangerous. Unlike other species, humanity did not bend easily, nor did they follow the rules of the stars. They fought wars they should have lost. They survived disasters that should have ended them. And worst of all, they always came back stronger. The aliens feared them. On this day, the Council's decision was final. The High Speaker, a towering insectoid with crystal wings, raised its voice. The species known as humanity has shown itself to be too dangerous for the peace of the galaxy. They cannot be trusted. They cannot be allowed to grow further. Therefore, by vote of this council, humanity is exiled to the abyss. Gasps echoed through the chamber, though most voices cheered. The abyss was a cursed place at the edge of the galaxy, a region filled with collapsing stars, endless black holes, dead civilizations, and radiation storms that destroyed everything. No species had ever survived there. No one who entered the abyss had returned. The decision was not execution, but everyone knew what it meant. The Council had chosen a slow death for mankind. On Earth and across its colonies, the sentence was carried out. Fleets of alien ships arrived. Humanity was given no choice. They were forced onto massive transports, their weapons stripped away, their defenses broken. They were driven into the endless dark, to the abyss. The aliens celebrated. In their cities, they held festivals. Leaders declared victory. Finally, the humans are gone, they said. Finally, peace can begin. But the universe was wrong. As the human ships entered the abyss, silence fell over them. At first, there was despair. Billions of lives had been taken from their homes, cast into a place of nightmares. Families cried. Soldiers clenched their fists. Leaders of Earth spoke in anger but could do nothing. The abyss was endless. Around them, stars died one by one. Black holes pulled at the edges of their ships. Strange shadows moved in the void as if watching. Time itself felt twisted. Days became weeks. Weeks became months. Many thought they would perish quickly. Supplies ran low. Ships broke down. Entire fleets vanished into darkness. For most, it felt like the end, but then humanity did what it always did. It adapted. Within the darkness, they discovered something. Remains of civilizations that had fallen before them. Ancient wreckage. Technology so old and strange it could not be understood at first. But humans learned fast. They always learned fast. The abyss tested them, broke them, and reshaped them. And slowly, the despair turned into something else. A hunger. No one in the galaxy knew what was happening. The aliens believed the humans were gone forever, swallowed by the cursed void. They told stories of humanity's downfall. They laughed at the foolish species who thought they could challenge the galaxy. But silence does not mean death. Deep within the abyss, something stirred. Humanity was no longer the same. The endless void that should have destroyed them was instead forging them into something new. Their ships changed. Their weapons changed. Their very bodies began to change. Generations passed. Children born in the abyss grew stronger than those before. The abyss whispered to them, and they listened. The galaxy thought it had rid itself of mankind. But the truth was far more dangerous. By casting humanity into the abyss, the Council had not destroyed them. They had created a nightmare, and soon the galaxy would learn the price of betrayal. The abyss was unlike any region of space humanity had ever seen. There were no bright stars, no warm suns, no safe planets. The void stretched endlessly, broken only by violent storms of radiation, collapsing suns, and ancient wreckage drifting like bones in a graveyard. Entire fleets disappeared into the shadows, swallowed by black holes and tearing gravitational fields. For most species, the abyss was death, but for humanity, it became something else. At first, life was almost impossible. The exiled humans suffered greatly. Their ships were not built for this place. Engines failed, shields cracked, and hulls were torn apart by storms of energy. Food supplies dwindled. Many colonies simply vanished, leaving behind only silence. The Council had expected this. They believed humanity would fade quietly into nothing. But humanity had always been stubborn, always unpredictable. When hope should have died, something inside them burned brighter. Leaders who once argued now stood together. Scientists who once competed now shared every secret. Soldiers, engineers, farmers, children, all were united by one truth: survival. And survival demanded change. Among the wreckage of forgotten civilizations, humans discovered relics. Broken machines, strange devices, shards of technology that had drifted for millions of years. Most species would have ignored them or been too afraid to touch them, but humans were different. Curiosity was their greatest weapon. They studied the ruins. They rebuilt pieces of dead empires. They fused alien technology with their own, creating strange hybrids of steel and shadow. At first, the results were unstable, even dangerous. Ships exploded. Weapons backfired. Many lives were lost in experiments. But failure never stopped them. Each mistake taught them something new. Each disaster brought new understanding. Slowly, their ships began to change. Hulls became darker, absorbing the strange energies of the abyss instead of breaking under them. Engines bent space in ways no alien had seen before. Their weapons grew terrifying. Beams that sliced through asteroids, cannons that could punch holes in space itself. The people also began to change. The abyss was not silent. It whispered. It pressed against their minds and bodies. The radiation, the gravity, the endless dark, it shaped them. Children born in this place were not the same as those who came from Earth. Their eyes adjusted to the darkness. Their bodies grew stronger, faster, more resilient. They were not mutants, not monsters, but something new. They became the children of the abyss. At first, humanity feared what was happening, but soon they accepted it. They embraced it. They realized that the abyss was not their prison. It was their forge. And they were the weapons being shaped within it. Centuries passed in silence. To the galaxy, humanity was gone, forgotten. Alien races told stories of the humans as a warning. Be careful of ambition, they said. Remember the humans who thought they could defy the galaxy and were cast into the void. But in the shadows of the abyss, something was growing. Explorers from other species occasionally drifted too close to the cursed region. Their ships were never seen again. Survivors, those rare few who escaped, spoke of strange shadows moving in the dark. Ships that were not alive yet not entirely machines. A predator lurking in the void. No one believed them. No one wanted to believe them. But the truth was simple. Humanity had not died. Humanity had not vanished. Humanity had adapted. And now, humanity was waiting. For the first time in history, mankind was united under one banner, one vision. No more nations, no more borders, no more petty politics. In the abyss, there was only one law: survive. And survival had made them strong, stronger than the galaxy could ever imagine. The abyss had given them everything: knowledge, power, and a hunger for more. And soon, the galaxy would feel their return, because silence does not last forever. The abyss had taken much from humanity. It had stolen their home, their comfort, their peace. It had swallowed billions of lives in storms and silence. But what remained was sharper than ever before. Like iron crushed by pressure becomes steel, humanity had been reforged. Generations passed inside the dark. The humans who had once screamed in fear of the abyss now called it their cradle. Children born here no longer feared the black skies or the whispering shadows. They looked at the void not as a curse, but as a challenge, and they grew stronger than anyone in the galaxy could imagine. The first sign of transformation was unity. For the first time in history, humanity had no nations, no separate governments, no rival flags. The old divisions of Earth were meaningless in the abyss. Only one truth remained: survive or perish together. Under a single council, they built a new order. Every scientist, every soldier, every worker was part of one vision. The mistakes of the old world were left behind. The new humans were not divided. They were one people bound by the abyss. With unity came progress. The wreckage of fallen empires became their textbooks. The strange living technology of the abyss became their weapon. Human scientists discovered how to bend gravity to their will, how to hide entire fleets in folds of shadow, how to turn black holes into sources of power instead of fear. Their ships were no longer bright, shining vessels like those of other races. They became dark, silent predators. Some were grown instead of built, their hulls fused with organic material found drifting in the void. Others were jagged and sharp, like claws tearing across the stars. Each ship carried the mark of the abyss, and when they moved, they seemed less like machines and more like living shadows. But the most important change was not in their ships. It was in themselves. The abyss had shaped their bodies. Generations of radiation, pressure, and whispered energies had rewritten them. Their skin grew pale, their eyes adjusted to eternal night, their reflexes sharpened. They lived longer, healed faster, and thought quicker. They were still human, but no longer the same humans the galaxy had exiled. The galaxy spoke of humans as weak, fragile, short-lived. That was true once. But the abyss had carved away weakness and left only strength. The children of the abyss were soldiers from birth. They trained not for glory, but because survival demanded it. Even their language changed, filled with words that no outsider could understand. And their culture carried one burning memory: the betrayal. Every story told to the young began the same way. The galaxy cast us into darkness, and every story ended with the same promise. One day, we will return. Rumors began to slip beyond the abyss. Traders who wandered too close told stories of shadows watching them, of voices whispering through the static, of ships that moved without light, without sound, striking once before vanishing. Most laughed at these stories. The galaxy had long forgotten humanity. They believed the abyss had devoured them long ago. But a few, the oldest races, felt a chill. They remembered what humans were capable of. They remembered the endless wars, the impossible victories. And they wondered, had the galaxy made a mistake? Back in the void, humanity continued to change. Their fleets multiplied. Their weapons evolved. Entire hidden cities floated inside broken planets, powered by the energy of dying stars. A single human fleet could now fight what once took entire empires. But even with all their power, they waited, because humans were patient now. The abyss had taught them silence, restraint, and cunning. They knew the galaxy would never expect their return. And when they returned, it would not be as victims, not as beggars, not as refugees. They would return as predators. The transformation was complete. The humans who had been cast into the void were gone. What remained was something far worse, something the galaxy was not ready to face. The abyss had given birth to a new humanity, and they were no longer asking for survival. They were preparing for revenge. Centuries had passed since the exile. For the galaxy, humanity was only a memory. One more warning tale told to children about defiance and arrogance. "Never be like the humans," alien elders whispered. They were cast into the abyss, and there they perished. No empire questioned it. No records remained. Humanity was gone, or so they believed. Then, one night in the Outer Rim, a mining fleet sent a distress signal. The fleet belonged to the Yalari Dominion, a proud and ancient race. Their ships were strong, their defenses powerful. They had mined countless systems without trouble. But this time, something was wrong. The signal came broken, filled with static. Only fragments were clear. Shadows, tearing hull apart. No escape. And then silence. When rescue ships arrived days later, the mining fleet was gone. Not destroyed, not wrecked. Gone. Nothing remained except a single blackened scar across the asteroid field, as if something had carved space itself open. The Yalari commanders dismissed it as a natural phenomenon. But whispers spread. Rumors carried on trader routes told by frightened pilots. They spoke of a ship, silent, black, and alive. A ship that moved like a predator stalking prey. At first, no one believed it, until it appeared again. This time, the target was a warship of the Soro Dominion, one of the galaxy's strongest militaries. The Soro ship had been patrolling the border when an unknown vessel emerged from the shadows. The alien crew had laughed at first. The vessel was small, no larger than a frigate. Its surface was strange, dark and ridged, as though it was alive. It carried no visible markings, no lights, no signals. The Sorrow captain sent a message. "Identify yourself." No response. The captain ordered weapons charged. The strange vessel still did not move. It only drifted, silent like a corpse in space. Then, without warning, it attacked. The alien crew never understood what happened. The ship moved faster than anything they had ever seen, bending space around it. One moment it was far away, the next it was on top of them. Weapons of impossible design tore through their shields like paper. Their cannons fired, but the black ship seemed to drink the energy, feeding on it instead of breaking. Within minutes, the mighty Sorrow warship was nothing but floating debris. The black vessel vanished back into the shadows. Only a handful of survivors escaped in escape pods. Their testimony was dismissed as madness until the recordings were recovered. The images were grainy, distorted by interference, but one thing was clear. The ship bore markings. Strange, sharp symbols etched into its surface. Symbols that no one recognized except the oldest historians. They were human letters. The Council of the Galaxy met in secret. Panic rippled through them. For centuries, they had believed humanity was dead. But this vessel, this predator in the void, it carried their mark. And if one ship had survived, how many more waited in the dark? Across the stars, whispers grew louder. Traders avoided the abyss. Soldiers spoke nervously in barracks. Children whispered in the night. The humans are coming back. But no one understood the truth. This was not humanity as they remembered. Not the divided, fragile species they had cast away. No, this was something new, something shaped by the abyss itself. The council issued a statement. The rumors are false. The humans are gone. What you see are tricks, scavengers, or illusions. But their words could not silence the fear, because fear had already taken root, and in the shadows of the abyss, the Black Fleet was growing. Humanity was no longer hiding. They had sent a message, not in words, but in action. The first return had begun, and the galaxy trembled. The galaxy could no longer ignore it. At first, the stories of a black vessel in the void were dismissed as lies, mistakes, or hallucinations. But now, too many ships were missing. Too many colonies had gone silent. Too many survivors whispered the same word in fear. Humans. The council tried to deny it. Their officials called the rumors ghost tales, inventions of frightened traders. But no denial could erase the facts. Mining fleets vanished. Patrol ships destroyed. Colonies near the edge of the abyss, emptied overnight, every inhabitant gone. No wreckage, no warning, only silence. Whispers spread faster than truth. They're back. They've changed. The abyss gave them power. The alien empires, once so proud and arrogant, began to look over their shoulders. Soldiers who had never feared death now shivered when assigned near the abyss. Traders refused to travel through those lanes. Even pirates, the bravest and most desperate, avoided the dark border. Fear traveled faster than light. In the great cities of the galaxy, markets trembled. People gathered in secret, speaking of shadows that hunted in silence. Rumors said the humans had ships larger than moons, fleets hidden in the folds of space, weapons powered by dying stars. No one knew the truth. But the fear itself was enough. The council held an emergency session. The chamber was filled with panic. Delegates shouted over one another, wings and tendrils thrashing in fear. "The humans cannot be back," one shouted. "They were destroyed," cried another. "No," said a trembling elder of the Vayari. "They were not destroyed. They were exiled, and now they have returned." A heavy silence filled the chamber. No one wanted to admit it. No one wanted to speak the truth aloud, but deep inside, they all knew. By casting humanity into the abyss, they had not ended them. They had made them stronger, and now the abyss itself had sent them back. Across the stars, signs of humanity's return became more terrifying. A convoy of 5 powerful warships vanished within minutes. The only recording showed a shadow moving across the stars, faster than anything known. Then static, nothing more. An entire colony of the Rishal people disappeared. Millions of lives gone without a trace. Their cities stood untouched, their machines still working. But their people had vanished. Only one sentence was left carved into the walls of their capital. "We remember," that was all. The message spread like wildfire. Every empire saw it, and they all understood what it meant. Humanity had not forgotten. Humanity had not forgiven. Fear became despair. In the military academies, young soldiers whispered, "If the humans could survive the abyss, how can we fight them now?" In the council, leaders argued endlessly. Some demanded fleets be sent into the abyss to strike first. Others begged for peace, desperate to avoid provoking them further. But none could agree, and while they argued, the shadows grew stronger. The humans did not attack openly. They struck with precision. Small fleets destroyed. Colonies emptied. A single warship reduced to ash in seconds. Always fast, always brutal, and always gone before reinforcements arrived. The galaxy had once mocked humanity. They called them fragile, weak, short-lived. But now, they called them something else. Nightmare. The humans were no longer seen as prey, no longer as one more primitive species. They were something different now, something terrifying. The abyss had reshaped them, and the galaxy began to realize what kind of enemy it had created. Every night the stars seemed darker. Every shadow seemed alive. Every silence felt like a warning. And in the heart of the abyss, humanity prepared. Their fleets grew. Their weapons sharpened. Their hunger deepened. The galaxy thought it feared the dark, but the true darkness had only just begun. The galaxy watched. Every empire held its breath. The fleet entered the border of the abyss, weapons armed, shields raised. Their commanders were confident. To them this was no war. This was extermination, but the abyss had been waiting. It began with silence. The Xylan ships moved deeper into the dark, sensors struggling to read anything. The stars seemed to vanish behind them as if swallowed by something unseen. Crews grew restless. Officers shouted orders. But there was nothing. Only black. And then they appeared, at first only one. A massive vessel slid from the shadows, darker than space itself. It did not shine, it did not reflect. It consumed all light, as though it were a moving piece of the void. Its size dwarfed the Xylan flagships. Its shape was unnatural, half living, half machine, its surface pulsing faintly as though it breathed. The Xylan commander gave the order. Fire. Hundreds of cannons roared. Beams of energy lit the void, missiles streaked forward. The combined firepower of an empire striking at one ship. The human vessel did not fall. It moved. Reality bent around it as the weapons passed, twisting like water around stone. The ship answered with a single strike, one lance of black energy that tore through space itself. 3 Xylan warships vanished instantly, erased from existence as though they had never been. Panic spread. Orders became screams. And then more shapes appeared. Dozens of them, humanity's fleet. They emerged from the abyss like predators from their den, silent, dark, alive. Their hulls twisted with strange geometry, grown from ancient technology fused with human will. Some ships stretched like blades, others loomed like towers. Each one unique but united in purpose. Together, they formed an armada unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The Xylan fired again, desperate, unleashing the full wrath of their fleet. But the humans had mastered the abyss. Their ships absorbed energy, bent space, disappeared and reappeared in impossible places. The Xylan's strongest weapons were useless. One by one, their ships fell. Some were torn apart by weapons that cracked space. Others were swallowed by artificial singularities unleashed by human cannons. Escape pods were not spared. The shadows hunted them too. Within an hour, the proud fleet of the Xylan Empire was gone. Hundreds of ships destroyed. Tens of thousands of lives extinguished. And only one message was broadcast across the galaxy. A human voice, calm and cold, carried on every channel. Translated into every tongue. You cast us into the abyss. Now the abyss comes for you. The message was simple. It was final. The galaxy fell into chaos. Every empire now knew the truth. Humanity had survived. Humanity had returned. And they had not come back as victims, nor as allies. They had returned as a force the galaxy could not comprehend. An army forged in the endless dark. Across the stars, fear turned to terror. Civilizations strengthened their defenses, called back their fleets, and begged the Council for protection. But no wall, no army, no technology could erase the image burned into every mind. The Abyss Fleet, an armada born from shadows, carrying weapons that broke the laws of physics, commanded by a species that had turned exile into evolution. The humans were no longer the prey of the galaxy. They were its hunters, and this was only the beginning. The galaxy had seen many wars. Empires rose and fell, fleets clashed, civilizations burned. But nothing in history compared to what followed the return of humanity. The Abyss Fleet did not stay hidden. They moved. First came the border worlds of the Xylan Empire. Colonies proud of their defenses, armed with shields and orbital cannons, surrounded by mighty battle cruisers. The humans descended like shadows, their ships appearing from nowhere, their weapons tearing through metal and stone. Entire planets screamed in alarm. Civilians fled to bunkers, governors shouted orders, fleets scrambled to defend their worlds. But defense meant nothing. The humans did not fight like any other species. They did not battle for territory or resources. They did not send messages of diplomacy. They struck to erase. When the first colony fell, survivors whispered that perhaps the humans would show mercy. But the second fell faster, the third burned brighter, and by the fifth, mercy was no longer a word anyone dared to hope for. The council called for calm. Leaders of the empires gathered in their grand chambers, arguing, panicking, blaming one another. Some demanded unity, others demanded surrender. But even as they argued, new reports arrived. Fleets vanishing, cities erased, entire sectors cut off from communication. The humans were not fighting one empire. They were striking all of them. They attacked where no one expected. In the Karath Dominion, a military stronghold was torn apart in minutes. Its walls were designed to resist anything in the galaxy, anything but the weapons of the Abyss. In the Valari Concord, great crystal stations were shattered, their beauty destroyed, their people forced to flee into space. Even the mighty Tharzul, who once mocked humanity as children with sticks, lost two of their strongest dreadnoughts in a single night. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity was not choosing sides. Humanity was punishing all, and with every victory the whispers grew. Some claimed they had seen the faces of humans on their ships, cold, unrecognizable, eyes glowing with the abyss itself. Others said the ships were alive, pulsing with the heartbeat of something beyond nature. What was true? No one knew. But one thing was certain. Humanity had become something more. Something no longer bound by the limits of flesh and machine. The nightmare had been unleashed. The breaking point came when a joint fleet was formed. For the first time in centuries, rival empires united. The Karath, the Valari, the Tharzul, and even the proud Xylan all brought their fleets together. Over 1,000 warships, the largest combined armada since the ancient wars. They gathered at the border of neutral space, waiting, preparing, desperate to stop the humans before they spread too far. The galaxy watched, breathless. If this fleet failed, there would be no hope. For 3 days, nothing happened. No sign of the Abyss Fleet. Some dared to hope the humans had retreated. Then, the stars went dark. The humans arrived, not from one direction, but from all. Their ships slid from the shadows of space itself, surrounding the armada. No alarms had sounded, no sensors had detected them. It was as if they had been waiting all along. The battle that followed was chaos. Alien ships fired with everything they had. Beams of light, missiles, plasma storms, an ocean of destruction unleashed at once. The humans answered with silence, then with fury. Their weapons tore through the strongest shields. Their ships bent space, vanishing from one point and striking from another. Alien commanders shouted in disbelief as their fleets were cut apart like paper. The combined armada, thousands of years of power, hundreds of civilizations' pride, was broken in less than an hour. When it was over, only wreckage remained. 1,000 warships turned to drifting husks. Survivors scattered into the void, carrying with them only fear, and once again a single human message was broadcast to the galaxy. We are no longer your exiles. We are your judgment. Across the stars, silence fell. No empire spoke of victory. No one spoke of peace. Every civilization understood the truth. Humanity had returned, and the galaxy itself was now the battlefield. The nightmare was here, and there was nowhere left to hide. The galaxy was broken. The great empires that once ruled the stars now trembled in silence. Fleets that had stood for centuries were nothing but wreckage. Colonies burned, worlds abandoned, leaders hiding in fear. And above it all, the Abyss Fleet moved, calm, unstoppable, untouchable. No one knew where humanity would strike next. Some prayed their worlds would be spared. Others begged their rulers to surrender, though no one knew what surrender even meant. Would the humans accept it, or would they burn everything? The Galactic Council met one last time. The chamber was no longer filled with arrogance or pride. It was filled with fear. Representatives shouted over one another, "We must negotiate." They are not human anymore. How do you negotiate with shadows? If we do nothing, we will all die. For the first time, the council admitted the truth aloud. Humanity had become the greatest power in the galaxy. Not because of numbers, not because of wealth, but because the Abyss itself now moved with them, and then the humans arrived. Not with fleets this time. Not with fire, but with a single ship. It entered the heart of the council's territory, ignoring all defenses. Nothing could touch it. Fighters that approached simply vanished into the dark. Cannons fired, but the energy bent away, disappearing into void. The ship landed outside the council's grand chamber. Its black hull pulsed faintly, alive. For a long moment, no one dared breathe. Then the doors opened. From the shadows, they stepped forward, humans. But not the humans the galaxy remembered. Their eyes glowed faintly, their skin touched by the abyss. They carried themselves with power and silence, as if they were more than flesh. One of them spoke, their voice echoing across every channel. Every system, every star, you exiled us. You cast us into the abyss. You thought we would die. Instead, we became something greater. And now we return to judge you. The chamber fell silent. Leaders shook, some collapsing to their knees, others staring in disbelief. The human continued. You feared us for what we might do. And you were right to fear. But know this, we do not come to conquer your worlds. We do not want your thrones, your riches, or your slaves. The room waited. Every word carried the weight of doom. We want your obedience. We want your silence. And we want your memory. From this day forward, you will remember what happens when you betray humanity. The council tried to protest. A Valari elder stood, voice trembling. If you kill us all, the galaxy will fall into chaos. There will be nothing left. The human only turned their glowing eyes on him. We do not need to kill you all. Fear is a sharper weapon than fire. And with that, the Abyss Fleet revealed its true strike. All across the galaxy, hidden weapons awoke. Engines powered by the void, structures built from shadows, left behind by the humans during their silent war. In seconds, every major empire realized the same truth. Humanity had already won. They controlled the dark. They controlled the stars. And if they wished, they could erase any world with a thought. The council fell silent. No one dared to argue. No one dared to resist. The humans had spoken, and their will became law. From that day forward, the galaxy belonged not to the empires, not to the council, not to the ancient rulers of the stars. It belonged to the exiles who had returned from the abyss. And in every corner of space, across every world and every fleet, a single truth spread like wildfire. The humans are no longer our equals. They are our nightmares. They are our judgment. For centuries to come, stories would be told. Parents would whisper warnings to their children. Captains would speak of shadows in the void. Leaders would bow their heads at the mention of the abyss, because humanity had not just survived exile. They had turned exile into evolution. And now, the universe itself trembled under their shadow. Judgment had come, and humanity had delivered it.